Assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings. You're tuned in to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided thee right, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum, family. This is Sister Sajdah. Take a look at this room on the third floor of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House before we started the renovations. And look at it now. And we just have a little bit of progress left to make. The finish line is in sight. So order your commemorative Elijah coins today and become a sponsor. The link is in the bio. Peace and blessings, family. Greetings, conscious entrepreneurs. Add the Mind of an Entrepreneur show to your Roku TV lineup and catch up on past episodes of all your favorite Mo Today shows.
You belong to yourself. You're an independent people, created from the nation of free people. Yes, sir. You don't need to go nowhere but to yourself. Yes, sir. There will be a great separation. Yes, sir. So I said, it is on now.
The college is meant to prepare you for your future. That the time dictates that if we don't do something for ourselves as a people, we will be destroyed. And the aim of the enemy right now is to take us out.
We have God with us. We have Him as our guide. Yes, sir. We don't have to stand around here and ask the question, what must be done? Yes, sir. Get up and let's go and do something. Yes, sir. We cannot sit down. We cannot lay down. Yes, sir. We must get up. Yes, sir. And go to work.
Do you know what real joy is in life? Visioning something and bringing it into reality. That's real joy. Do you know what the next step in joy is? Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell in unity.
Tonight, you need to fasten your seatbelts. We're going to hear from some of the greatest minds in the world. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of trusting our future and the future of our children into the hands of those who don't love us. I believe we need to revitalize black leadership.
Assalamu alaikum and peace and blessings, family. Welcome to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks. I decided to give us a new location today. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Welcome to everyone in the chat. I see you all chiming in, and welcome to those who are not in the chat also. So this is my prayer room that I'm in, my prayer and meditation room. So I thought, I was in here yesterday and I said, you know what? This would be a good place to broadcast from. So I'm trying to move it around and do some different stuff. We're going to be doing a live later today at Sean Michelle Homemade Ice Cream. That's actually, I think, going to be an IG live. So I'll let you guys know. But the idea there is we're just starting to do our Enhance Your Savior's Day experience as we begin the countdown to the week of February 23rd. Listen, my heart is heavy this morning, y'all. You know, when I was very fortunate, I guess you could say, when George Floyd was murdered in the street. I remember I was here in Chicago and I was asleep, and my business partner called me and woke me up, and he said, "Are you up?" And I said, "No." He said, "What time's your flight leave?" And I think my flight might have left like at 10 or something. And he said, "Don't even look at the news before you get to Maryland." He said, "Are you coming straight to the office?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Because I don't want you to look at the news." And I said, "Why?" He said, "There was a brother that was murdered in the street. And I know how you are." He knows that I'm a huge empath. And so he said, "And I don't want you to see it." He said, "So don't turn it on." And so I didn't. And some of you have heard me tell the story. And I to this day have not seen it, but I did watch that brutal Tyree Nichols video that was released. And what I saw was so much brutality and animalistic behavior and self-hate and damage to us as a people that video did. We are truly walking into what Tom Burrell, the great advertiser, I'm going to play a clip from him in a minute, when he said that the brainwashed eventually become the brainwashers. And that is exactly what is happening. It's on automatic pilot. People, you don't have to hear about slavery. You don't want to hear about us being the original people of God. So let me tell you something. Because we are rejecting this knowledge of ourselves, we are allowing the systemic programming and propaganda campaign to make us hate ourselves so bad. Let me tell you something. Every Black man was once a Black boy. Every older Black man was once a younger Black boy. Every older Black woman was once a younger Black girl. And when you see things happening to people who look like you and you're not affected, if you could be a daggone police officer and pull over a young guy that looks like you, might look like your son, might look like your cousin, might look like your brother, might look like your uncle, whatever, and you don't feel nothing in your heart, and what you feel in your heart is so reversed and so damaging that you beat the holy crap out of him to the point where you kill him. And one officer is holding one officer, another one is holding him up so that the other one can beat him to a complete pulp. I'm sorry. It's one thing, and I know a lot of people don't want to talk about this. It's one thing for white officers to do it, because I think we've all accepted racism and the hate. But when you look at the self-hatred, where you just stand there and watch and participate in the complete and total murder of somebody that looks like you, and not one time do you go, okay, let's stop. Then when we talk about what that does, see, we already got problems with the way society sees Black men. We already got problems with that, okay? We already got problems with this this Euro feminist, I guess you could call it, Euro feminist view of men. You know, it's so dominant now that men can't even be men. And then in addition, the marketing and the propaganda against general male behaviors. This is separate from the beating, the murder. And I think we should call it what it is. It's separate from the murder. It's not a beating, it's a murder. It's a beating if you're still alive. You're not alive, it's a murder. We already got issues with that. And so Black men are complete targets right now. And y'all know I support the brothers. Then the brothers support me. Over 70% of my followers, my target audience, all of that is Black men. So you all know how I feel about my beloved Black men. And I support them because I've been blessed to have good Black men in my life. And I don't want to be a part of that propaganda machine. I'm not a Eurocentric minded feminist. I am a straight Black woman who loves and desires Black men and respects Black men. I make it a point, I don't even disrespect men, unless you do something. I don't put myself in a position where I even got to disrespect you. But when this kind of thing gets aired on television and you see these Black men acting in this savage type of way, how much data do you think we've given to the propaganda algorithm that is designed to destroy Black masculinity? We probably just gave them enough data to damn near wipe us out. And I'm talking about us as a people when it comes to our Black men. Everything that they've ever said about Black men was demonstrated there. And they would, let me give it this way. I even wonder if they would have released the tape if there was 5 white officers. I saw the anxiousness to release the tape. Generally, when this kind of thing comes, there's a hesitancy to release the tape. But because it feeds into the Black hatred, the Black self-hate. See, here's the thought. The thought is that if you have more Black police officers patrolling the beat, that they're going to know the community. So if your child pulls up and they're doing something out of pocket, that there's some chiding from the police, but they don't die because we assume the police look like us. Well, now our people are like Trojan horses. Y'all heard me say this against this lady who's running for mayor now, who attacked me and the Elijah Muhammad house, Miss Sophia King. Make sure y'all don't vote for her. Vote for anybody but her, because she's a Trojan horse. Because in my mind, as a Black woman, I'm like, oh, okay, it's a sister. That's the alderman in my community. Okay, it's a sister. But when I walk up to the sister, I realize that what's on the inside is not what I thought I saw on the outside. The outside is just a shell that looks like me, but the inside is filled with hate. Because anytime, and this is what's so bad, we at the point now where we just attack one another just to be attacking one another. There's nothing that says, hey, let me help this sister out. Let me give this sister a pass. Okay, we pulled the brother over. We thought he was somebody else. How do we go from that to murder, to he's dead? He's no longer with us. How do we get here? It's self-hate. I want to play this because I'm so full of this. I'm going to play this clip from Tom Burrell where he talks about us being brainwashers. See, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us about ourselves and teaches us to do for self and all these things so that we, this whole thing, I'm drinking out of a cup today that says Black excellence. So this just goes against everything we've been working for. And let me tell you something, if you think it's nothing, let's think again. Because you better believe this will be more viral than that Rodney King video. And they'll keep showing it. And guess what? Now when we talking stuff, it's like, look, y'all the ones doing it to yourselves. Anyway, let me play this because we're at the point where we are completely brainwashed and we are the brainwashers. Somebody can walk up to us and say, attack this sister, attack this brother. Look, if I was the white man, I would just sit back because I know I ain't got to do nothing else no more. They're going to destroy each other. The few of them that trickle out from among them, I decide if I want to deal with them, or maybe so that I don't look racist. Okay, if Sister Sajdah trickles out, I'll work with her and help so that the propaganda doesn't seem like I'm anti-Black. But for the most part, they're just going to kill each other. If we hire a bunch of them as police officers, that's not going to make a difference because they're just going to kill each other. This is the propaganda. Now, I'm sure you got good Black police officers out there who are likely very appalled by what they saw. But look, this propaganda machine, this algorithm, this data that has now been added into the algorithm that has now gone around the world. See, a lot of y'all don't realize that us in Black America, we are probably the most conscious group of Black people on the planet. See, in other countries, especially in other continents and countries, parts of Africa, South America, Black on Black crime happens often. And they try to use the excuse. They say, well, people tend to kill people that look like them. Okay. But Black people in authority tend to do the most abuse against other Black people. You see that around the world. And in America, we're working and preaching and doing what we can to try to educate people so we can turn this around, add some new data to the algorithm. And what I'm saying to each and every one of us, what we should do, start posting as much as possible positivity about Black people, because we're going to need it, because they're going to use this. Let me show you this and what Tom said about somebody said the laughing is recorded on the body cam also. I can't imagine they thought it was, yeah, this is crazy. Okay, check this out. We're going to look at this and I'm going to come back and type in the chat brainwashed. And you all have heard me talk about this before, but type in the chat brainwashed so that you can start to internalize what he's saying. Because each and every one of us, I don't care how conscious you are, I don't care how educated you are, we have to erase this brainwashing up out of us. We got to reverse brainwash ourselves. I'm going to come back after this, but it's a hypnosis. See, when you hypnotize somebody by showing them the same thing over and over and over again, that begins to play in their subconscious mind and they're making subconscious moves and they don't even know why. So what's happening here now is that we are completely and totally hypnotized and brainwashed so that even if the white man ain't around, we do what we think he would do in that case. Anyway, check this out. Let me know if you guys can hear it. Okay. Oh, I got two up here. Here we go.
He made a fortune and a difference, showing the advertising sell to African Americans. Now he's got a new pitch. When Tom Burrell launched his advertising empire in the late 60s, he pioneered the idea that Black people are different. They're not just dark-skinned white people. Now Burrell is revealing what he calls the best propaganda campaign in history to find the answers to some very troubling questions.
Why do we expect so little from each other and ourselves?
Without their top just every ad, Tom Burrell has a new website asking and answering the politically impolite questions.
Why are Black and beautiful? still contradiction.
From the seemingly trivial,
Why can't we stop? What we are doing is we're trying desperately to buy back our somebody-ness.
to the downright brutal.
Why do we keep killing each other?
The powerful thing that was done to us is that we were taught to disrespect, distrust, and dislike each other and ourselves.
Burrell, a member of the Advertising Hall of Fame, calls it the longest running propaganda campaign in history, begun by a country that needed slavery to call itself profitable and a clear conscience to call itself democratic.
These people are not human. These are not human beings. And so if we can exempt them, get them out of this picture of the human picture, then we can say we have a democracy. All men are created equal.
He is certainly not the first person to say slavery is the root of African American underachievement, but as an ad man, Burrell is looking to the campaign that came with the crime, the ongoing promotion of what he calls the myth of black inferiority.
We talk about education, we talk about parenting, and we're not talking about the big 800-pound gorilla in the room, and that is the inundation, the bombardment of negative media messages that keep us in our place.
A brainwashing so successful, Burrell says, that the victims have been recruited to the campaign.
We get this notion that the lighter you are, the more European your features, the more Caucasianized your hair, the more beautiful and the more attractive and the more desirable you are. What used to be the slave auction block is now the stage. And we get on that stage and we pull our own clothes off. We'll go up there without any and we will grab our stuff and show it off and say, this is what we're about. This is how we define ourselves. Being aware of how this whole game works, how we are inundated every day with these cues, these signals, these symbols that tell us and reinforce this whole idea that we are less than.
Burrell will have to prove that positive propaganda can make a profit. The chairman emeritus of the agency that practically invented target marketing, though, thinks it can be done, that in fact, nothing else will work.
Until we get to the root cause of our problem, which is how we have been conditioned to feel about ourselves, we're not going to be able to solve any of those problems.
Yeah, that's type in the chat. Let me know what y'all think about that, because something very significant was said, that we've been recruited as part of the campaign. And what I saw with that beating of that young brother was that the recruitment into the campaign has been successful. And, you know, some people always say, you know, I don't agree with Elijah Muhammad because of the religion that's been put in. And I said, you know what? And he said this, and I get this. Two things that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, the minister's been teaching on for years, that I now get more than ever. The first one is that he said 50 years ago, we would be praying for our sanity. And when I look around at people and I go, wow, I look at their condition and what they've been through, and I say, I got to be grateful for my sanity. The other part of it is that if we don't get some divine intervention, it's over with, because the programming is so dominant and so far so successful that we are now the deliverers of the campaign against us. You mean to tell me nobody, not one person, looked at that young man and felt any empathy? Not one person jumped in to say, let me say, that's complete brainwashing. That means you out here in these streets and you a predator, but you got on a uniform, but you a whole and complete black predator, which in my opinion is worse than a white predator, because the black predator is a Trojan horse. meaning that the people will walk up and think that that person is going to help them, but only to realize when that person ain't going to help you, that person's here to kill you on behalf of some propaganda that they've been recruited into. It's a damn shame. It's terrible. So let's see. You all said our people have become pit bulls for their cause. That's exactly right, Sister Anissa. We are like the pit bulls, shredding and tearing one another apart. People will go to jail and they say, don't snitch. And you won't snitch on a fellow criminal or a drug dealer or something like that, but you'll kill your brothers and sisters over something petty, over nothing. Over nothing. See, I think we have to start at our level at calling out this hateful behavior. One of the things I've been diving into and studying is this, and I'm gonna do a series on this coming up very soon on the number of missing and abducted Black girls and women, and how we just swipe left on past it. You could see a missing picture, somebody missing, we'll swipe on left because we don't give a damn about ourselves. The Bible verse, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, that don't even work no more because they programmed us out of that. What does that mean? Well, let me put it this way. It does work because we hate each other. We're not walking around here saying, oh, I would want somebody to do this to me. We hate ourselves so bad that we know what we would do to ourselves. We don't care how we treat our body. We don't care how we look. We don't care how we come across. We just want more money so we can be more ratchet. Not money so we can have more options and we can help more people. We can be more ugly and more ratchet. And we got to start on an individual basis calling out this Black hate. And people who just attack other people because of some brainwashed bull crap that's in their head, we got to start calling those people out. Those people got to be met with so much negativity and so much fire that they may as well go get their own community somewhere, call them the Black haters, because there's no place among us as family, as friends, and start disowning people who practice that kind of behavior, because that kind of thing, see, vibration don't lie. Vibration do not lie. I remember when I first graduated from college and moved to Chicago in the 90s. And this is another thing, in the 90s, it was bad here in Chicago. Like, you couldn't move around. I don't know how these numbers are flipped, because to me it was way worse. But and I used to always say, I used to pray to Allah and I say, you know what? I don't have the street knowledge and street cred that a lot of my friends do. But what I know I got is a mean intuition. And my spirit don't lie. My intuition don't lie. And I know how to recognize certain things, even if I don't have a language to attach to it because I didn't grow up there. And what I'm saying to you all is that use that same type of intuition to identify people who are haters of people who look like them and get the hell away from them. See, because when you recognize your enemy, when you already know, if somebody walk up on you and you know to be cautious, then okay, you all right, I know to be cautious. Let me be careful. Let me feed them with a long handle spoon, right? As folks in the community used to say. But when they walk up and you think they family, when they walk up and you think you know them because you've seen them and they look like somebody you know, and they bust out and kill you, abuse you, do that kind of stuff, there is punishment from our community that needs to come from that. And I'm not calling for nobody to go, don't put me out here like, oh, she told us to go do this or that. I doubt if I got that much juice. But the point is that we got to start ostracizing these type of people. And it starts with the little hate. Stop talking about each other all the time. Stop being so damn brainwashed. You watching television and you see what they're doing on television and you decide, okay, I'm getting ready to do that to my sister. I'm going to do that to my brother. I'm going to do that to my mother. I'm going to do whatever this bullshit that I see on TV. I'm going to do that to the next person. That kind of thing multiplies. That kind of thing continues to go. And in our everyday lives, it even starts with our thoughts. If you catch yourself just looking like you want to hate on somebody else that looks like you, stop yourself. Because vibration don't lie. These people had to be living that kind of lifestyle where other people around them recognize that they were some damn haters of themselves. Because you don't just bust out and do stuff like that. Vibration don't lie. You can't, listen, let me tell y'all how to manage vibration. Let me go in the chat first. 100% recruited, said magnetic kinetic. Team Y said it's like the hive mind in a negative way. Brother Lamont says, so true, we hate our shadows. Without prayer, I could not be sane in this society. Stanley Ferguson said, I have a better understanding of systematic racism and how their minds have been transplanted into our people. Yes, either we get divine intervention or we are done. If God himself did not come here to help us, it would be a wrap. Trust me. Auntie says, yes, indeed. Keep that head spirit on a 360 swivel. Listen, let me tell y'all something about vibration, because it don't lie. This is why you don't have to chase people down. You don't have to investigate them, because eventually, whatever they're doing, as they say back in the day, what goes on in the dark come to light. That's just vibrationally true. Let me tell you something. If you got 4 major areas of your life, let's say you got 4 major areas of your life, and in 3 of those areas, you a cruddy individual, then when, let's say it's family, school, relationship, and work, and with your family, with your school, with your friends, with money, these other 3 over here, you a ratchet, cruddy individual, then you're going to be ratchet and cruddy when you get to work, because 75% of your output into the world is a ratchet and cruddy vibration. It's a low vibration. So when you get to that one thing where you think you faking, this is why I call you a Trojan horse, where you think you faking and you think you acting like you all that, and oh, this is how I was raised and this is how I conduct myself. If that's how you act 75% of the time, that's who you are. You ain't gonna be able to hide it. It's gonna come out at work. This kind of stuff, these people had to be living this kind of lifestyle. And somebody should have ostracized and checked them a long time ago. This ain't one-off behavior, and it likely ain't the first time that they did it. I bet you if you check the background in the neighborhood, they've done this kind of thing all the time, or probably previously more than once, at least 1 or 2 of them. It don't take 5 people, no way, to whip nobody. 5 people, 5 big old dudes or more. I mean, come on out of here. That's exactly right, magnetic kinetic. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad stated that the solution to our is divine. This is why you can't erase prophecy out of evolution, and any movement that has made any attempt to erase prophecy, to erase divine intervention, has not been successful. That's real talk, because you can't sustain it. You can go to church and they can cast demons out of you and they can do all of this kind of stuff. You can't sustain it unless you're nursing that in a divine way. Somebody can come and put some holy water on you and put their hand on your forehead and you fall out, and it's like, okay, the demon is gone. Guess what? You gonna go find the demon, because that's your normal. And so I guarantee you 70, 80% of the people that have that kind of experience don't end up maintaining the energy that they got from the removal of that demon, because they go back to the demon at the first trigger. So if there's no, you can take religion out of it, you can take spirituality out of it if you want, but we need some divine intervention. Somebody got to divinely intervene on us, and it's absolutely amazing to me that you could look at this person and not feel nothing. That person don't look like nobody to you. It don't look like you black. They don't look like your brother. Yeah, the brother only weighed 140 pounds. They don't look like your brother. They don't look like your cousin. And you know what? Listen, it's like when my brother and I used to talk about this when I moved to Chicago, and like I said, in the 90s, during the crack era, and I would see people on the street who were addicted to crack. And they might be begging. And I would have a certain emotional affinity because they look like me, but they ain't know them. Ain't really know them. So it didn't really impact me as big as it did one time when I was in my hometown of Omaha, Nebraska. We were downtown. That's what made us start talking about it. Somebody walked up and was obviously on drugs. And the person that obviously was on drugs was somebody we knew, somebody we grew up with. So what I'm saying is that when you look at that person and you don't see no kinship, you can't relate at all. And if you do see yourself in that person, you decide to murder them. That means you ain't got no problem with suicide. You ain't got no problem with shooting yourself, killing yourself. Those kind of people that have that kind of extreme hatred, they don't even need to be in our society no more. See, when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us to separate, people were so emotional over that. People still emotional over it. I ain't separating. But guess what? It's just like being in an abusive relationship. Until you get away from that person and stop getting beat by that person, you're not going to heal. And so these types of excessive abusive behaviors, if the divine word of God does not work on these people, you got to separate from them. You got to separate from them. Somebody had to say at some point, let's separate. All right. So and that's enough of this negativity. Let me show you all. I have another little short clip of a video of the minister that I wanted to share to go into this last few minutes of this morning's coffee talk. Y'all all right? I'm sorry to rant in such a negative way, but I had to get that off my chest because that level, the power of the self-hatred that I saw on that television was almost alarming and frightening to me just to see it captured. Obviously, we know black on black crime exists, and I'm not trying to sound like a extremist, but to just see it captured on screen and enacted before our very eyes was alarming, to say the least. It's already alarming to see white officers doing that to us, but to see us doing that to us and nobody said anything, folks was laughing. I can't. So all right, y'all, let's look at this. Let's look at this clip so that, and my goal and my desire for us to take away from this today is that we all take personal responsibility for any self-hate that we are harboring in our own hearts. Self-hate that starts with low self-esteem, makes us disregard ourselves, our talents, makes us disregard who and what we showed up on the planet to do and to be. And so that right there, that knowledge of self, that loving of ourselves is where this all begins. And so what I want us to take away from this coffee talk is the intention to take responsibility for eradicating self-hate from within us. And if it means you got to start watching different things on television, if it means you got to start talking to different people, let's take a vow that we're going to work to eradicate self-hate from within our own personal selves. I don't care if you're a Muslim and you say I'm pro-Black. I don't care if you're a Christian and you say I'm pro-Black, I'm pro-Jesus, I'm pro-Muhammad. Whatever you are, you got some self-help up in you because of the brainwash programming that has happened to each and every single one of us. And there's residue of it that's underneath, because what we don't want is when we come into leadership positions that we become abusive and use that hate culture and that self-hate as fuel for how we govern people, for how we enslave people, for how we hurt people. So let's take responsibility for that. Let's take responsibility, because at some point, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that the bottom rail was going to be raised to the top. So the top of what? The last is going to become first. The first of what? That means if you're first, there's people behind you. That means you're leading, you're an example. And let's take time to eradicate that from ourselves. First, by looking at how we treat one another and what we say to ourselves about ourselves, because that starts with self-hatred. How many times do you look in the mirror and say, ugh, I don't like my body? How many times do you look in the mirror and get down on yourself because you don't have this or that? How many times are you comparing yourself to that next person and stressing out to the point where you become hateful because you can't be that next person? Let's all take personal responsibility. Let's take an oath. And type in the chat if you're with me. Let's take an oath to be more loving towards ourselves. I don't care how pro-Black you are. I don't care how pro-Jesus you are. I don't care how pro-Muhammad you are. I don't care what you follow, what you read, what you do. Let's work on this self-hatred that sits up in here, up inside of ourselves. So I'm going to play this quick clip from the minister, just so that we can check this out. I'm sorry, it's a little small because it's a short, but you all will get the gist of it. Just listen to this and type in the chat your thoughts.
You got to start looking at your life. It ain't about going to church or mosque or synagogue or hanging on the corner. You got to be a lot more responsible for the life that God gave you than what you're showing right now. Or you're going to pay a price for wasting God's life. He didn't bring you here for you to waste your life away in foolishness. All the gifts and talents that are buried within yourself that you know are there, and you won't use your gifts, use your talent, make excuses for yourself. You won't be an example for your children or for your community. You got to pay for that. You got to start looking at your life.
Listen, I see y'all giving the minister all of this emoji. Thank you, sis. Yeah, we like rabid dogs. Thank you for taking the oath. Let's take responsibility. Let's start looking at and see the reason why I think we don't use all these talents that we have is because we hate ourselves. We don't think it's nothing. We don't think much about ourselves. That's where this kind of thing has to have started. For you to act like a rabid dog and kill somebody, like a bunch of New York rats on a piece of food. Bunch of rats on a piece of food. That's how you acting. And not one time did you look at your brother's face and look at him crying, looking at him crying out for his mama. Listen, even when you hear a baby crying for their mother, you feel it. What, you ain't got no mama? You don't have no empathy. You don't even love your mama. Because that can trigger anything in you to see an adult male crying out for their mother. That does nothing to you. Okay, I expect that of white folks because they have been taught that we're not human. But guess what? Now we've been taught that and we're enacting that. It's terrible, and it's happening all around the country, around the world. It's happening. Boys are being abused. We don't even teach let me tell you how we mess up our black boys. We adultify them and parenticize them very early. People don't talk about that because girls are parenticized and adultified early as well, but boys are too. We don't tell them to value their bodies. So they out here living a thought life. You know, thought culture is big among black boys and black men. Back in the day, we go, Proper was a Rolling Stone, he this, that, but they live in a thought life because nobody's taught them. We taught as girls, value your body, be careful, but nobody teaches black men that. So they measure their power based on who they can dominate and control sexually. It's an animalistic way of conducting yourself. So that animalism, we're talking about vibration again here, that animalism that comes as a result of us not valuing their bodies or even teaching them to value their bodies, spreads over into their work environment, their school environment, and every other environment that they're in. And this is the type of behavior that you end up seeing. Trust me, trust and believe you can probably trace those behaviors back to each and every one of them. And nobody taught them of anything of value that they honor. They probably got good mothers, good grandmothers, good people if you go and talk to their family. But somewhere along the way, that man became disconnected from his family, even his own mama. So when this boy cried out for his mother, they didn't feel nothing. Nobody said, okay, y'all, let's stop. Let's stop. He said, mama, let's stop. Nobody said anything. They laughed. It was funny to them. We reduced him to where he crying for his mama. What is that? What is that? That's self-hate. So what I'm saying to us, to each and every one of us, first off, if you are raising black boys, if you're around any black boys, if you have any connection with black men, period, teach them how valuable they are. Teach them to value their bodies. Teach them not to diminish themselves to sex and violence. See, this is a control issue. A lot of men come thoughts because it's really all about control. It's all about, let me dominate. They may have a whole beautiful woman over here at home, but then they go, okay, I'm going to go over here and I want to dominate this person. I don't care about her. And if sex means I can dominate her, then I'm just going to have sex with her just to be able to say it. I won, I dominated. Let me go back over here to my home. Well, guess what? Energy don't lie. Some men can't do that sexually. Listen to me good. Some men can't dominate or control somebody sexually. So how do they do it? Violence. So now they violently try to control, all because they're not taught how valuable they are and how valuable their body is. So if you don't give a damn about yourself, I know you're not going to care about the next person. You're not going to care about that person in a relationship. You're not going to care about that person at work. You're not going to care about the victims of people at work. If you're a police officer, you're not going to care about nothing else because you don't give a damn about yourself. And where does it start? It starts right here. Right here. Inside of us. So let's take responsibility ourselves. Let's take responsibility and let's say, you know what? I'm going to eradicate any self-hate that I have inside of myself. I don't care if you got to say affirmations to yourself in the morning. I love you, because any residue of self-hate that you have inside of you could be enough to spark self-hate in somebody else. It could be enough for you to lie on somebody. It can be enough for you to steal from somebody, and it can be enough for you to murder somebody. Let's work on that. Let's take a vow. Let's take responsibility. Let's look ourselves in the mirror and say, I love me. I'm going to put better things into my body. I'm not going to do drugs. I'm not going to eat bad, low margin food. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to love myself. I'm going to do what I need to do to make myself healthier. I'm going to do what I got to do to take care of myself and fix myself up and be better. I'm going to value my body. I'm going to do what I'm going to take control. That control that I want, that somebodyness that I want, I'm going to give myself permission to be somebody. I'm not going to try to buy back my somebodyness. I'm not going to try to control other people to be somebody. I'm not going to look at men or women as sex objects so that I can be in control and feel like I'm somebody. I'm going to look in the mirror and take responsibility for the somebody that I showed up on the planet to be. And I think we all need to just take that oath. We need to start saying that. I'm going to do better by my gifts. I'm going to do better by my talents. I'm going to respect the God that put all of this beauty and talent in me, and I'm going to see what I can do to help him become known through my gifts and talents. Because see, that's all God wants. If you're not, listen. God wants to make himself known. Okay? That's why he creates all this stuff, because he wants you to know him. And in knowing him, he wants you to acknowledge him, be grateful, recognize him. If you no longer, okay, are a created being that God can make himself known through, then you are of no use to him or anybody else. And I'm so sad that this brother had to lose his life. But I pray that we all decide. See, this is an algorithm they can't count on. To go inside of ourselves, work on our image of ourselves, work on loving ourselves, work on acting like a civilized person. Let's really, really work on that. That way, the propaganda that's coming up out of this public tape of these 4 black men murdering another black man can be lessened by our change in behavior, and Allah gonna have to do the rest. Because I'm telling you, the propaganda already out here against black men, and they can point to this video now and say, this is how they are. Don't give them no job. Don't hire them. Don't marry them. Don't be around them. And if you end up messing around and having a baby and birthing one of them, then here's the formula we want to give you to change them. Because you're going to have to change them into something else, because you don't want it to be that. Now they got a savage example to point to in modern day history. And the devil probably was sitting back saying, I couldn't wait for this. I'm ready. Release the tape. Let's go. So now we're talking about buy black, support black men. When you see the brothers in prison and they getting out and they in the halfway house trying to do better and trying to figure out how they're going to matriculate through society, you got this kind of crap, this kind of tape, these kind of brothers that are out here demonstrating this type of behavior that now goes viral, that gets multiplied around the world. So that young brother who made a mistake and looking for that second chance, who's trying to get out here and rematriculate through society, he can't do it because of this crap that's in the algorithmic atmosphere. All I'm saying, brother, if you one of those persons, pull on Allah, pull on God, because you're going to need it. You're going to need some divine intervention. Somebody got to interfere, because we're just giving them fuel, fuel for the fire. All right, y'all. So I've ranted about this enough. I'm sorry. It just really messed me up. So let's stop the self-hate. Okay. And you could be, and do not sit there right now and say, I don't hate myself. She talking about them. I'm talking about you. Because there's something inside of each and every one of us. No one has escaped this programming. Not one of us can escape it. And if you think you escaped it, if you think you grew up pro-black, you watch TV every day, you drive down the street, the propaganda's everywhere. There's so much that's already designed to make you hate yourself. This work has to be done by everybody. Everybody. We got to work on ourselves. And guess what? When you start working on yourself and you see how hard it is to change certain thoughts and certain behaviors and replace those bad thoughts with good thoughts, you'll have a little bit more empathy towards the next person. And the next time you see somebody with this type of rabid self-hatred, make sure you check it. Make sure they feel the sting of you checking the mess out of them. So that just maybe, the next person that looks like them, that pulls up on them, they won't pull the trigger or use their fist or beat the mess out of them. All right, y'all. Okay. Like I said, later today, we're going to do a live from Sean Michelle's Homemade Ice Cream. We are kicking off our Enhance Your Savior's Day experience lives that we're going to be doing. We're going to, inshallah, go around to a lot of our businesses in the nation here in Chicago, just to talk about Savior's Day, to welcome our people there, to be, just excited about the divine intervention and welcome the divine intervention, and be grateful for the divine intervention that we need. As y'all can see, we need. This is systemic. It's propaganda, and we got to work on it. Sisters, stop hating your bodies. Stop looking at somebody else going, my body ain't like that. Don't stop it. Let's just stop it. Let's go inside of ourselves. Let's create better behaviors. Let's live by example. Let's be respectful. Let's figure out what we can do to stop hating ourselves. Because when you hate yourself, you will, listen. When you hate yourself, you'll think bad about yourself. When you think bad about yourself, you'll think bad about somebody else. Then you'll lie on yourself. When you lie on yourself, you'll lie on somebody else. When you steal from yourself, you'll steal from somebody else. Then guess what you'll do? You start murdering yourself with abusive internal behaviors, drugs, bad food. You start killing yourself slowly, not taking care of yourself. You're dying slowly. You're killing yourself prematurely. Guess what you'll do? You'll murder somebody else, or you'll watch somebody else be murdered, and you won't even give a damn about it. It's time for us to change. It's time for us to step up, because we can sit here and say, well, America's falling. We can say all of that, but we're going down right with it if we don't start to change our behaviors and make a difference. Because other countries, other parts of the world where they live based on certain principles and certain levels of morality that are not all good, but they live in with a certain principles and morality. Like I said, they're looking at us like, we don't want them savages over here. We don't want that. I literally was thinking about Ghana and how they're welcoming us. And I pray to God that when people are getting Ghanaian citizenship, that they are taking some kind of class in self-love and accepting their own and being their self, so that we don't take this old nasty American thought culture over there to Ghana. Because see, that's what happened in Liberia. If you've ever been to Liberia, and I'll say this last thing, if you've ever been to Liberia, you will see the American culture that was sent over there, the mindset, the lights against the darks, and the way that they move over there. It's like an American experiment magnified. And now you got this level of hatred that's scary. And there's groups of Liberians that are really trying to turn this thing around and trying to be differently. But when you can see the American ruins. If you're an American, you can see it. You can see how the back in the 1800s and 1900s, when Black people went there from America, so-called freed slaves, how they took the white man's mind with them when they went to Liberia. So you had these light-skinned or Afro-Americans that went over there, and they started to dominate and prey upon the native Liberians. And so you had the Americanos, I forget what they called, against the natives. And that became the basis of their culture. Those of us that went over there took this old slave mind and mindset with us, began to dominate and prey upon the native Liberians. And so now that's the basis of their culture. I pray to God that we're not doing that in Ghana, because we can't wait to go over there and open a strip club. We can't wait to go over there and thought it out. All we're doing is taking this savage behavior over to Ghana. And I refuse to see it. I've been invited, when they had Afrochella and all that, people, come on over, because people know that I've done a lot of travel and work in Africa. I was scared to go because I don't want my feelings hurt, to be able to see if we're doing the same thing in Ghana that we did in Liberia. You got to separate your mindset and get up out of this white man's mind before you go over there talking about you going to invest and do anything, because that'll be the new little America with all the corruption and the mindset and the crap that led to what we're talking about today, this little young brother being murdered. So, all right, y'all, peace and blessings, y'all. Let me get off of here. I think I've been on the soapbox enough. Talk to me in the chat. Let me know how y'all feeling. Y'all got the marching orders before. I don't want to end on a negative note. Let's end on a positive note. Send me a little note in the chat. Send me something positive. Send me what you're going to do to make sure that you're eradicating self-hate from your own self. Say that in the chat. While you guys are putting that in the chat, I want to remind you, go out and get your commemorative Elijah coin. If you don't already have it, if you haven't yet, let me put up our donation link. Go to Sajdah House donations and donate to the completion of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House. The goal here is to begin programming through history, through podcasts and things like that, that really help to go against some of this type of thing that we see manifesting on a massive, massive scale. We got a subculture in our culture that we better address before we begin to implode. We got to address this nasty sexual subculture that we have, the pimping and the thotting, and the sex trafficking and abducting the girls and everybody trying to live a stripper lifestyle. We gotta address that, because that's leading to people coming up missing, people not recognizing their dreams. We have to address that, and we got to address this black on black hate, this self-hatred that we have, that to the point where we're using drugs and not caring about ourselves and all that other stuff. Team Y says, thank you. Alicia X. Johnson says, thank you. I'm eradicating self-hatred from myself. Great conversation. We've been giving away handmade soap, self-love, and wellness packages. That's right. Do something today to just love on yourself and pick one thing about yourself that you know, only you know. You ain't got to tell nobody else. Only you know that recognize your low self-esteem. That is evidence of your low self-esteem and your self-hatred, and work on that. One thing, whether it's your conversation, whether it's the way you see people, whether it's the way you conduct yourself, whether it's you staying in an abusive relationship, whether it's you staying on an abusive job and you doing it because you hate yourself so bad and you don't think you can do no better. Listen. Okay, that's enough. All right, peace and blessings, family. Catch up on past episodes of the Mind of an Entrepreneur Show and Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talk by going to Roku TV and adding the Mind of an Entrepreneur Show to your Roku TV lineup. Follow me on Instagram at Mo Today Universe, MOETODAY Universe, or at Sajdah House, SAJDAHHOUSE. So that you can catch up. You'll be able to see the live a little bit later today. And make sure you make a donation. Go to SajdahHouseDonations.com. Make a donation. If you don't want to do it there, you can always cash app us at $Mo Today. That's $ is going across the screen now. MOETODAY. Okay, peace and blessings, family. Again, love on yourself today and find something beautiful and good about yourself to celebrate and focus on, and super serve those things about yourself that you love so that you give less attention to what you don't like about yourself. All right. Peace and blessings, family. Love y'all.